First things first, before we even start talking about where the ship will be placed, what it will look like, and how its inhabitants will live, we have to think about how we will get there. As for such an ambitious project, extensive funding is necessary, because after all, an idea without funding is just a hobby. We plan to achieve that through various means such as space tourism, research, and various commercial operations. Also, the company that owns the Delphos project will be a publicly traded one, so as to provide us with even more financial opportunities. So, all in all, when combined, all of these activities are supposed to bring the project about $62 billion yearly. However, my job is not done, it's not over when we get into space, as the colony will mine asteroids for rare materials such as nickel, thus bringing in an estimated $130 billion yearly just from mining alone. As for the technical intricacies of the mining process, I will let my colleague explain them to you.
Since it is crucial to develop a thriving economy, the magnitude of asteroid mining must be grasped. We are going to make use of Psyche's metal resources on the grounds of the fact it is the biggest M-type asteroid. Thereby, after a careful and complex examination of its surface, we will focus on two categories of metals. First and foremost, iron and nickel will be sent both to Earth and Delphos. By sending them on Earth, some redundant and pollutant factories may be closed, since metalworking is believed to be solely environmentally damaging. The second branch refers to platinum, palladium, iridium, cobalt, lithium, and manganese, which are very lucrative. Moreover, they're essential in creating batteries, semiconductors, and for glass industry.
When it comes to connecting Delphos to Earth and to the asteroid we want to mine, a sort of space elevator will be used. It consists of two massive tethers hanging from Phobos, one towards Mars's surface and the other in the opposite direction. They will always remain on the line connecting Mars to Phobos, so that one of them is always pointing towards Mars's center, while the other one always points away from it. The farther away a point is on this structure from Mars, the more energy it has. So if we launch a payload from the correct position, it will have just the right amount of energy to escape Mars's gravitational pull and be sent on a Hoffman orbit directly towards Earth or Psyche. Moreover, the process works in reverse, capturing the payloads on the structure, thus energy is conserved. Therefore, two launching stations will be placed at the precise locations, and an elevator system spanning the entire structure will connect Delphos to them and to the Martian surface.
Continuing, a very important matter that needs to be addressed is shielding against radiation. Mars does not have a magnetic field like Earth does, and therefore our farms, the other facilities that are on Mars, the ship itself and all its occupants are in danger of being radiated by solar wind, cosmic rays, and other types of cosmic radiation. After research, we came up with a radical solution. We shall create an artificial magnetosphere that will protect both Mars and the ship. For this purpose, we shall build a Helmholtz coil facility consisting of two solenoid loops made out of aluminium. In order to significantly reduce energy losses caused by the wire's electrical resistance, we shall create the required conditions for aluminium to become superconductive, which means it needs to be cooled down to around 4 kelvins. Therefore, having in mind this and also the huge size of the solenoids, they shall be placed in an aerostationary orbit around Mars. To prevent heating from the sun and damaging from impact with asteroids, we'll create a shield out of graphene nanotubes that will protect the wires.
Another matter that shall be discussed is emergency energy. Besides the counter reactor that we previously discussed, we needed to come up with a feasible way of producing energy in case of emergency. And we came across a radical idea that solves our problems: energy from bacterial ATP. Bacteria or any other beings produce and use ATP in their biochemical processes, so we chose to use it as a source of energy by extracting and transforming it in a special facility. We chose to use ATP from bacteria because these beings request simple environmental conditions in order to develop. They reproduce relatively quickly, and they do not need a lot of space in order to thrive. The exact species that we chose is Spirocheta stenostrepta, because it produces ATP in 3 ways and it is easy to cultivate. We will have special different facilities for growing bacteria, then for extracting the ATP, and last but not least for transforming the ATP into energy by hydrolysis. The number of bacteria needed to produce the necessary amount of energy is very high. Therefore, in order to save space, these facilities shall be built inside the outer layer of our ship.
Energy is vital for our ship's sustenance, as without it, life support system cannot function. Unfortunately, minor reserves in space are not accessible, so thermal energy is not an option. Our best sources of energy are nuclear and solar power. However, due to the limitations of solar energy at great distances, we'll only use it in emergency cases. For sustained energy, the Kondo reactor is the best solution with current nuclear technology. It uses natural uranium as fuel, which is easier to obtain than enriched uranium used in other reactor designs. Heavy water serves as the reactor's neutron moderator and is 1,700 times more efficient than light water. A Kondo reactor can provide enough energy to sustain the crew and ship's operations for 60 days with just 1 kilogram of uranium. The nuclear waste will be retained in dry casks until it loses its reactivity and can be safely buried on Mars, which takes about 5 years, and so we will keep 30 kg of isolated radioactive waste on board until disposal.
There is no mystery that we simply lack the infrastructure to design a normal planetary farm in space. So, the most viable option that ensures self-sustainability is vertical farming. Now, for this matter, we've come up with two user-friendly designs that serve different purposes. That will be the vertical farming system on one hand that will find its place on the ship, along with the so familiar trees and planetary parks. On the other hand, concerning efficiency and mass production of goods, we have the horizontal plane system, which will ensure that our food reserve never runs low. Moving forward, one cannot imagine life on Delphos without some kind of meat production facility, whether we are talking about vegan or normal meat. After a couple of days of considering different techniques, electrospinning comes out as a clear choice. Such facilities, along with the horizontal plane system farms and the yet unmentioned water extraction system, will be placed on the surface of Mars, in a region called Arcadia Planitia. To conclude, the water extraction process will consist in extracting ice from the overburden, followed by a purification process using ceramic filters or even activated carbon from organic residues. This is how we project the life matters on Delphos to ensure that every citizen will live in flawless conditions.
To be or not to be? This is the question. Health is one of the greatest human blessings, as Hippocrates once said. This is why the medical system was implemented on Delphos. In order to prevent epidemics and infections, we released some protocols such as mass vaccination, isolation process, and keeping the environment clean and free of infectious agents. Moreover, in an emergency, we designed a number of modular facilities which will facilitate the citizens' fast recovery or even isolate them from one another. The most impressive feature, however, is the gene therapy laboratory. The concept refers to alternating or manipulating the expression of a gene in order to change its biological properties. Certain cells, such as DNA, may be introduced to deliver the new genes and hence cure some deadly diseases.
Hello, good human. Can I please have a moment of your time? I'll promise I make it brief, because I only got one question for you. Just how many times have you daydreamed about having the world as your playground, and you can mold it in any way, shape or form you want to get rid of all those nasty things that poison our day-to-day life? Well, I know I have. And I've come across a dream, an ideal, a Delphos social system. It's basically just Athenian democracy, spruced into modernity with the help of computer science. All it needs is 500 bright minds singled out with the help of another computer program and basically a 3-year team building event. So, are you interested?